Alright, this is take two because the trying to do things with one hand didn't work out. Uncle Al, diebulfrog79, kind of a shout out to him. He's got a great channel. Everybody ought to check it out if they have any inclination of trying to survive anything that goes wrong. He's a great guy to watch. But he did something, his latest video had something about knives. And he had the good knife that you could butcher, you can cut whatever with. This is an old Imperial from Providence, Rhode Island. It's got a really great blade. It's really, really sharp. It stays really, really sharp. You could cut up a deer. You could do anything you need to do with it very quickly for a very long time. I probably paid $10 for it at a flea market. There's a boot knife. This one was an actual pair of cowboy boots when I used to run the cattle farm. And unfortunately a dog that was at the time a puppy who grew old and died, and I miss greatly. He decided as a puppy to chew on my boots and chewed up the handle, so this got replaced. These knives are great because they're very concealable. You can put them on your hip, you can put them on your back. A little bit of practice throwing and releasing, they throw and stick very, very well. It's a great defensive thing. This is a fillet knife. This is going on my boat. If you want to know about the boat, look at my videos about the Lazy Lady. One thing he left out was a big, heavy cleaver type knife. It's one thing he didn't show. If I can get this thing out without screwing up like I did the last time. Alright. This was a $10 knife at a flea market. It's got a very heavy blade. It was okay. I sharpened it up more. And if you're fortunate enough to catch something, shoot something, whatever, having a heavy knife to break up joints is very, very helpful. And that's a great knife. This is a great knife, great heavy knife for $10 for doing just that. This is not the one that's in my Alice pack, but this is a buck version of the multi-tool. This is going to go wind up in a fishing box because you can grab a hook. It's got the pliers. I'm not going to get too into it because I'm not real impressed with it. It was kind of expensive, kind of not really what I wanted. But it's a buck tool. For some reason it's in a, I guess, buck tool by Buck Knives. It stays sharp. It's not really that handy. The pliers are the best of it. The Leatherman is a much better tool. Another thing is stupid shit like this. I've made these out of steel and just weld them together. This one, I believe, was for a martingale for a horse. A martingale holds a saddle in place on a horse. But you can go through that like this, and I know I'm not going to do it justice, but if you pull on that loop, if you pull on it, that tail, this tail isn't going to move. So for very, very quickly, you can make something that you can take apart very easily that is totally adjustable. By pulling the rope up and through the loop, you can make it tighter, you can make it looser, you can pull the tail out, loosen it up, pull the tail out, slacken the rope, tighten the rope, whatever you got to do. Very, very simple. Another thing is, this is just a ring. But if you tie 2 ropes between 2 trees and then put this ring in the middle, now you have a loop right here that's going to stay centered. So you can have a third point to another tree and put your tarp there and make a tent out of it, or whatever the hell whatever you got to do, you can do it. It's just a simple loop. And simple things like this you should get and you should just play with, because the more you play with them, the more your imagination is going to run, the more you're going to be able to use them. And something that weighs, a fraction of an ounce that you could tie off to anything, you will find a million uses for. The same with this. You could take 3 chain links, weld them together, have somebody else weld them together, and you got the same thing. And you've got a tensioner. You can string it another way and use it as a brake if you have to rappel down something. You can use this thing for a million purposes, and it's this simple. But you could, if you had the rope, you could go down the side of the Grand Canyon without free falling and killing yourself. You could tie something off where it's never going to move. You could do a million things with 3 loops. Something else I wanted to mention. We got 250 rounds of brass for $20. They're 223, 5.56. This one's one side. I bought them. One case was cracked, so I'm gonna have to check the length on every one of them, make sure they're not shot. They don't have to be trimmed. But I was reloading with CRF 223, and somebody told me at the range that they were reloading. That's reloading, guys. You see somebody show up with a coffee can full of bullets, you know that they're probably reloaders, and you pick up conversation with them. He was really, really good groups, really, really impressive, except that, so I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, this is what I'm using. So I started using it, but the cases are, they're filthy. And then saw him again, and he said, yeah, well, CRF is copper fouling, so that whatever ends up sticking, whatever blowback powder ends up sticking to the case instead of the gun. And I haven't found that. I found that it's a very dirty powder. Really great accuracy. So I'm going to try accurate number 7. And because I've got a Lee Tarot loader, I'm using, doesn't really focus, I'm using the Lee loading book, because then I can use all of the Lee devices, and it's a hell of a lot easier and a lot quicker. Last thing on my, second to last thing, lithium batteries. I was cleaning up and I found a bunch of batteries. They got to go someplace to be recycled, because lithium is one of the most toxic things on the planet. People think they're doing a great thing by driving a Prius. They got lithium batteries. There's enough lithium. If they crashed in a river and the batteries broke open, they'll kill everything from where they are to the ocean, and they'll kill the ocean too. Lithium is a horrible thing. Make sure you don't throw them in the garbage. Make sure you bring them someplace where they say, at least claim to recycle them. When you get to the pearly gates, they'll say, what'd you do with your batteries? You can say, I tried to recycle them. If they dump them on some island in the Pacific, well, that's their problem. Your conscience is clean. These are a couple of radios I got. They're Royce. They're old police style radios. They got 5 channels. I got to get the little basket that holds the batteries so I can get them to work right. But I want to keep them on the boat, so that if anybody ever goes ashore anywhere, you got communications. They're old analog radios, so a lot of they're kind of like scrambled by accident. A lot of things won't pick up that signal anymore, so you're kind of stealth. And actually I have a base station that will grab those channels too. So should anything weird ever happen, or whatever, you got radios that can go on the dinghy, and you can communicate with the boat, and that's what you got. And analog stuff isn't going to really pick it up. It's kind of the same frequencies, but it's not going to work. A lot of the newer digital stuff doesn't work with analog. So that's what the story is on those are. What else? Check out a guy. It's the new Red Party. Guy's name is Antoine Tucker. He goes by Tony X on YouTube. He's running for Congress. He plans on outseating AOC, whatever her name is, Cortez. She's an idiot. Tony's an awesome guy. I've been in communication with him and watching his videos for, I don't know, over a year. Awesome conservative guy. Not totally sees through everything. Really sharp guy, really smart guy. Really, anybody that's got 10 cents together should donate to his cause. He's one of the best things that could happen to Washington should he get in. And that's it. That's what's going on in my world as far as junk and stuff on my desk right now. Y'all have a good night.